I'm Kelsey Zeiser. I'm a senior editor at Light Reading, and you're listening to the Light Reading Extra podcast. And we're here at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, and I'm joined by
Yago, Tenorio, SVP and CTO Verizon.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us. How's the conference going so far for you?
It's tiring, exhausting. I think I've got my steps done already for the day.
Yeah, I think so too. I meant to check it and I forgot about it, but I'm sure I'm already over. So we can eat plenty of tapas later.
Yeah, good idea.
That's the most important thing, right? Wanted to talk to you a little bit about Verizon AI Connect. Can you just give a brief overview for those who might not be familiar, and then some of the technological capabilities that you're excited about there?
I think it's super cool. Now, there are like 1,000 kind of things about AI in the Congress. This is yet another time the Congress of AI, at least it looks like that, from day one. And there is, a bit of a fever is going on. However, I really like the simplicity and and potential of our AI Connect proposition. So, because, let me tell you how it works. So we have plenty of power, space, and cooling available in the sites and in the locations that matter. Close enough to the customer, in all markets, urban areas, you name it. And we can actually host, and we chose to host, third-party, very experienced providers that know how to go to the market with, GPU as a service or any business model that's based on enabling AI for our customers, to actually do just that. Just bring the AI capabilities closer to where the customers are. I think that's very powerful. I think it's very simple. I think it works very well. Now, of course, there is a lot of intersections with, when and how is the network going to be running on AI infrastructure? I think it's a great idea. I think the day will come. I also think that the day is not today, and it's not next week either, right? So until we reach that point, what you want is enable your customers with AI, well, you can do something as simple and beautiful as this. And we can switch the traffic right besides that infrastructure, and latency will be, as cool as it gets. But you don't need to complicate the whole thing by trying to run network function workloads on that infrastructure at the same time when, frankly, no one is ready for that. The software is not written for that. The performance cost equation is not actually working well, right? Because performance, there is a question outstanding as to whether the performance is going to be so much better. But B, well, these things cost a lot of money. So if you're going to get more or less the same performance with a lot of effort to write the software on native AI infrastructure, and it's going to cost you a fortune, well, just keep experimenting with that, keep monitoring that, but just focus on what matters. And what matters today is to make infrastructure available for your customers, as close to them as possible. And that is what makes AI so cool.
Yeah, that's a great overview. Thanks. And how does Verizon specifically, how are you uniquely positioned to help your customers in that area?
Well, I think, regardless what type of, enterprise, small, medium, large you are, you may need more than, what's out there right now, which I think is limited in that, you can go to hyperscalers, you can even choose to deploy your own infrastructure. But I think there is an opportunity, a segment on which either for maybe cost of access, specialization, or proximity, there are not a lot of solutions that actually sit close enough to the customer, are accessible, low latency, etc. So I think we can actually bring AI, with AI Connect, we can bring AI infrastructure to many customers who may not have a clear choice today.
Yeah, that sounds great. And also, I imagine the opportunity to expand that in the future as Verizon adds additional network infrastructure, as AI matures a little bit more?
Well, by doing what we're doing, we are deploying, with third parties, hosting them. At the end, you are deploying AI native infrastructure and GPUs at the main crossroads of your network. So not only that is where it actually matters to the customer, it's also where it matters to the network. So we are going to use that ourselves to monitor when is the right time. That I was saying is not today, it's not next week, okay, but the day will come and we'll be in the best position possible to know exactly when it comes and how it looks like, because we have that infrastructure deployed at every intersection.
Right. And just switching gears a little bit, you recently had an announcement with Samsung and Qualcomm about a RAN intelligent controller. Can you give us an update on what that entails?
I think that is what happens when you put an open network, open interfaces, our virtualized RAN, together with AI capabilities. And frankly, I mean, we've been applying AI for more than a decade now, like in our planning processes, system performance optimization, operations, root cause analysis, you name it. But an open network like the one we have, we thought, well, this would give us the possibility to put and apply AI like right where you need it to do maybe advanced things like let me tell you about this one. So what we did was we took the Samsung virtualized RAN, we put, as you said, a Qualcomm RIC platform that is a standard like Open RAN platform that works on the O-RAN Alliance interfaces. It can work on top of any vendor that's Open RAN compliant. And it offers a suite of interfaces that are also open. So you can deploy applications on top from any vendor. Now, we chose one that was particularly interesting for us. That was the Samsung Energy Saving Manager. And what that does, which is super cool, is it uses AI and machine learning to understand the patterns of the usage of the network. And knowing how the usage is going to be in the near future, it advises decisions on what to switch off to save energy. So doing that, you can actually just switch off some of your radios or some of the carriers when you are projecting that the usage is going to be low enough so that they're not going to be needed. So you're not hurting any performance. The customer is experiencing the same performance. You don't need them for capacity, but you save all the energy related to those layers. Mm-hmm. So we've measured improvements up to 25% of energy that you can save doing this, which I think is great.
Yeah, you kind of addressed it, but that was going to be my follow-up question was how do you ensure that you don't drop network performance in favor of the energy efficiency?
I think that's a collaboration across all the layers. So, I mean, the AI module, brings the intelligence of knowing when the traffic is going down and understanding the pattern. It estimates that it's not going to be actually coming up, for maybe minutes or hours. And then it makes sense to switch off a layer to save that energy related with that layer. However, the estimation can be wrong. So the collaboration, across the layers is such that you need to make sure that your radio basic layer, software and hardware, is advanced enough so that it can switch on those elements back in a matter of ideally seconds, but that's a long shot. So let's say a minute. Mm-hmm. So if you can bring back online what you just switched off and reboot it in, say, a minute, when you see that, well, things are not going as per the estimate and the traffic is coming back unexpectedly, you can undo what you did and the performance will not suffer. If that system is going to take 5 or 10 minutes to reboot, then the whole thing is impractical because AI can be very cool, but it's not infallible, right? So there'll be times that the estimation is wrong. And the basis of all this is that performance needs to be as good as it was before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an excellent point, because I think we don't have a lot of patience for when AI doesn't work the way we hoped it would. So that's helpful when there's a quick course correct there. Also wanted to hear from you about some of your satellite updates. There's a lot going on in the direct-to-device space right now. Any updates on, I know you've had some trials with AST Space Mobile, so what are you excited about in terms of satellite connectivity?
What's not to be excited is I think is a really cool innovation. It's a really smart way to deliver connectivity, to the rare places where we're not, covering or providing service just yet, in an economical way. So even if it's, a relatively thin layer that, is not a lot of capacity, the cells are very big, but you can actually just think of a system that will provide seamless service to our customers wherever they go, wherever they live. Normally, I think, where they live is already covered, but wherever they go to play. So that is, and by the way, it doesn't matter if it's on land or sea or eventually on the air as well. So I think that's like the promise of connectivity that maybe we can, deliver and realize. What we did recently was, I think, a very important milestone, because we delivered a video call for the first time, which also talks about seamless capabilities. Of course, I mean, we've done texting, peer-to-peer texting or emergency texting before, and that is a really cool service as well, and it's very important. But this is like not one level up. This is a major milestone that's way beyond that. If you can do a video call, you can also browse, the internet or use your favorite app, because the speed, let's say, is good enough for any of those things. And that is the kind of service that we are targeting, and as seamless as possible. So our customers ideally would not notice even the difference when they are roaming on, the satellite network, or, when they are on the terrestrial network. So that's what we are working on, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, especially with, we had a really rough hurricane season last year, and then also with the wildfires. I imagine having that satellite connectivity is really helpful, and kind of an assurance to customers when those, horrible events happen.
Absolutely, yeah. Did you know that we have 300 emergency vehicles with portable base station capabilities connected by satellite?
Are those with the Verizon Frontline? Or?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. I know they do a lot with, in terms of deploying temporary mobile assets to help when there's inclement weather or some of those natural disasters.
Exactly.
Yeah. So just wanted to close up with an update on the API initiative that you're working with some other operators like T-Mobile, AT&T, and also with Ericsson. What's going on there?
Well, a lot is going on. So this is another area that actually it's been, in the works for a few years. I would say probably you have to go back like 5-6 years, when operators started exploring the potential that actually offering functionality through APIs to adjacent industries could open new revenue opportunities. And I think very early on the journey, I think the industry as a whole, we realized that if we were to make that true, probably we would be better off by standardizing those APIs. So the first thing that comes to mind with a new opportunity, and APIs was not an exception, is that we will use it to compete against each other, which to some extent is true and is healthy, and we will do that. But for many opportunities, it doesn't work that way. Because if you are to expose, for instance, an API to the banking industry to help them prevent fraud, you actually, you prefer to do that in a standard way, so that the banking industry and bank A, B, C, D, they can integrate their API into their systems once, and without having to worry about which carrier this customer belongs to, and then use different APIs for every carrier. That's not the way any industry work, and you can't ask them to do that. So if we are to protect our customers, and we definitely want to, then it's better that we agree what kind of API we're going to expose, and then use the same format. And that is what Aduna is about. It's beyond that, because it's not only a standardization, which is something that the GSMA Open Gateway started a number of years ago as well, and it has helped a lot. I think it goes one or two steps beyond that. It actually aggregates the different APIs from the different operators and expose a single connector to the industry. And then it has the go-to-market model and the monetization and many more things like charging, etc. But so even the architecture technically is embedded into the model, which I think is a great testimony of the effort that we operators are putting together to make this happen. And I really think there is great potential in creating new revenue channels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how that develops, and the banking example is an excellent one, because I'm sure they do want standardization there is very important to have that reliability. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me, and I hope you have a great rest of the conference.
My pleasure, and I hope you have the chance to have some tapas tonight.
Oh, thank you. Looking forward to it.